guys, this is Tracy. Welcome back to Live Your Shelf. For Christmas, I had a friend that got me a book journal, and it's really awesome because it does have 100 entries in here, and my goal this year is to read 100 books. So I started in January, and we're going through that list. And it also has, in the back of the book, it has like things that you can write in. So like for book lists. So 10 worst books I've ever read, 10 favorite classics, 10 longest books you've ever read. And so I wanted to take some of those and go over a list with you guys. So the first list that I'm going to talk about is my 10 favorite books by contemporary authors. And the good news is on Goodreads, you can, Storygraph, on one of those, you can change it so that it talks, it's Storygraph. On Storygraph, you can specifically look at contemporary books. So I was able to just put in contemporary books that I've read. Originally, I did not know what a contemporary book meant or contemporary authors. So I didn't look it up. I just went based off my Goodreads, but then I did just look it up now, and it says living or occurring at the same time or belonging to or occurring in the present. A person or thing living or existing at the same time as another. So contemporary books are essentially like they're happening now, or they did happen at the time that it was originally written, or potentially it could be happening at any time, right? Because sometimes we don't have an exact date or time or place in a book. It just happens, and there's nothing about it that's like it's timeless. There's nothing about it that pinpoints a time. So I am going to start at number 10 and work my way up. So number 10 for me is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is by Ocean Vuong, who is a Vietnamese writer. And On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, he writes an open letter to his mother, who can't read. So there's a lot of things that he puts in there, and it's so beautifully written, and he talks about the English language a lot, and he is really good at being honest with flawed characters, but still loving them. And that is something that he pinpoints really well in his books, are just how to love flawed characters. Number 9 is Writers and Lovers by Lily King. And this is the first book by Lily King I had ever read. It's about a woman who is trying to write a book, but she's also a waitress, and she's going through her own things. And it's also beautifully written, but in a totally different way than I would say Ocean Vuong's book is written. But it's still good. And what's cool is there's a place here, like within a half an hour from where I live, that in my mind is what the place that she works at looks like. And so that's pretty cool because I feel like I'm kind of like living that too. Number 8 is The Firekeeper's Daughter, by Angeline Boulley. And this is a book about a Native American teenager who just became like technically an adult. She's like 18 or 19, and she is going through a lot of her own stuff, and there starts being murders or potential suicides, I guess, in her hometown, and there's a lot of drug usage, and she's trying to get to the bottom of it, and there's so many plot twists. It's amazing. So I definitely would say that as well. 7 is both Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe, and Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters. Oh my gosh. Well, Aristotle and Dante, that's all you need to know. By Benjamin Alure Saenz is incredible. It's young adult. It's based on teenagers who fall in love, and the first book is more about their love And the second book is more about their, Aristotle's coming of age. So it's really good as well. Number 6 is Wreckage, by Emily Bleeker, I think. And it's crazy because I read this book forever ago. It's about people, like 2 people. It's about people that were stranded on an island for years and had to do crazy stuff, and they ended up getting rescued, and it talks about their life now that they've been rescued, but how no one understands. So these people that were on the island alone together, essentially, they understand each other differently than other people do, but they still have their own lives at home from when they originally started. Like, one of them is married and the other one goes back with their girlfriend, and it's just crazy because they still have this huge connection with each other, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens on the island that you do go through, and it helps them become stronger when they get back. I think it's wonderful. I still think about it all the time because it's taking so many scenarios that could literally happen to anyone but is not likely to happen to anyone, and just talks about like what would happen in this scenario, like when your wife has been gone for 4 years and you moved on, and then they found her and she's alive, and it's insane. And I have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book just came out last year, and it is about a friendship between a guy and a girl who end up like continuing that friendship into a partnership for video games. And it talks about amputeeism, and it talks about abuse in relationships, and it just navigates through their friendship, losing people, like grief. It talks about like a lot of different things, and it's just very real, and it's so good. And there is a character that's really into theater, so you get to know him a lot, and I'm really into theater, and then these two are into video games. It's really good. Then number 4 is A Man Called Uva, by Fredrik Backman. This is one of 2 Fredrik Backman books that are on here. A Man Called Uva is about a widower who's just really sad, and he's a grumpy old man, and he wants to kill himself, and his neighbors save him in a way, like, yeah, like not even, they totally save him. They in the beginning are persistently annoying, but they end up growing on him, and he has like a really good relationship with them, and it's really heartfelt. Fredrik Backman is just amazing at any characters he puts into play, and he's like funny and tears at your heartstrings at the same time, and he's such a good storyteller. Number 3 is The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George, which is about a guy who owns a like traveling bookshop kind of. Food, there's recipes in the back of the book, which is cool too, and unique and quirky. It's cool because he prescribes books to people like their medicine. So he talks to them about what they're going through, and he's like, oh, you need this book. And it's really cool. And there are definitely a lot of books that are mentioned on there that I have not read that I do want to read. They're on my list, but they are quite older, some of them, and I don't know what the heck they're about. And I haven't read them yet, but maybe someday soon, hopefully. It's just really enlightening and inspiring and adorable. Number 2 is The Ensemble, by Aja or AJ. It's Aja Gabel, Gabel. This book we read for book club. It's about a quartet and pretty much their life. Like, you go through with them for over 20 years. 2 of them end up having a relationship. Well, they all have relationships, but like a sexual / romantic relationship, and then they navigate through other things and being in a quartet still, and taking on each other's other significant others and the people that are with them for life, because they're with these people for life. And originally I gave this 4 stars, and I actually went back and gave it 5 later because it's such an incredible book and it just makes you think so much. So yeah, the ensemble, it's incredible. Also a really cool thing. So I really just like things that do things other books don't do. And this book does that. So for like, they're a quartet, so it talks about music that they play and how they played it. And like, you know, what happened, or like this person was going too fast and then it had this like consequence later on in their life, or like this thing that happened in their life caused them to mess up this part. And this, it's cool because, so what this book does that other books don't do is it talks about what songs there are so you can listen to them. I think it would be really cool on Audible if they had the song. Like they played it at the beginning of the chapter, at the end of the chapter, or before or after the description of the scene, because I can't even imagine like how much more that would enhance the reader's experience. But when you're reading the book, it does tell you at the beginning of each chapter which songs they're talking about and which version of that song, because in quartets there's like multiple arrangements. So it does tell you that as well, and that's really cool. And I actually want to revisit it and go through and read it again with that information, because I feel like it would just enhance my experience of the book even more. So originally I gave that a 4. I went back and gave it a 5. There's a lot of things about just living life in general that's in there that I still think about on a regular basis. And then number 1, which actually I was kind of surprised about, because when I think about my favorite Backman book, I don't think that it's Beartown, but maybe it is, because when I read this, like, Backman is a contemporary author, so all of his books are contemporary, and Beartown is number 1 on this list. So Beartown is about hockey. It's it's a show now. It's about hockey and rape, and it's just incredible. It has heavy topics, but it also, what I loved about it is it made me I reminisced, because baseball is what I lived and breathed for 15, 20 years of my life. And that's what these people do in this town, is they live and breathe hockey. And it just reminded me of all those good times. So there's also, you know, other stuff going on. They're teenagers. They do dumb shit that mess up other people's lives. And it's an incredible story. So I would say definitely check that out too if you haven't yet. I still haven't read the other 2 that go with that, which is Us versus Them and The Winners. I do have them. I just got Us versus Them like 2 days ago, actually. So I'm excited to read that. But those are my top 10 favorite books by contemporary authors. What are some of your favorite contemporary authors? Please let me know so that I can read about them. Actually, all of these books that I mentioned are all 5 stars for me. I've given all of them 5 stars. So trying to choose which ones were better than others was kind of difficult at times, but we made it through. So thank you so much for talking to me about contemporary books today, you guys. If you liked this, like or subscribe if you want to hear about more books. Thank you so much for joining me on Love Your Shelf, and I hope you have a great day. Namaste.